Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're just making an old recipe. Some of you may know, I may have mentioned this before. I took forestry at university. And so part of the whole forestry course at university is you're expected to work in the bush, in related fields in between each year, over the summer. And so I did. And I worked across Northern Ontario. Julie worked across Northern Ontario, a little bit in Northern Saskatchewan. One summer, I took a contract. I'm not sure if it was QOPC or Kimberly-Clark, doesn't really matter. Anyway, so I've got a pot over sort of medium heat, and it's hot. So I've got cumin and coriander and cardamom, and we're just gonna toast those spices until they're fragrant. Anyway, so I'm working for the pulp and paper company. One of the most common jobs that you get as a forestry student is as a, it's called checker. And so as a checker, as a checker, you get embedded with a tree plant company and you check their work. You spend your day out in a cutover measuring trees, looking at trees, making sure they were planted correctly, they're far enough apart or they're not too far apart, that they're not damaged, that, you know, they're going to have the best chance at life. And so this one summer, the tree plant company that I was attached to, I was working for the pulp and paper company, but I'm attached to this tree plant company, and I'm living with them. I'm tenting with them because it's just the easiest way. Distances, it's just a big thing. So I'm out there working with them. They were, for all intents and purposes, a bunch of hippies in schoolies that traveled around the country planting trees and picking fruit. Great group of people. I had a great time with them. Absolutely incredible, great time with them. But they were all vegans. And so you ate with them. I would eat with them. And all they ate was vegan food. And I was exposed to such an incredible palette of flavors that summer. Really grew as a person in terms of eating and cooking. So I've got the spices out, put them in a mortar and pestle. I'm going to crush them a little bit, put some oil in the bottom of a pan. Still on sort of medium heat. I might turn it up a little bit. I've got it on 5. I might turn it up to 6 or 7. Let's go to 7. And so through that summer, I learned a lot about cooking without meat, a lot about using different spices that I'd never been exposed to. And this was one dish that was on the menu all the time. And I really loved it. It's a curried lentil. That's pretty much all it is. And there's so many ways to make this. And the recipe, this is probably not the recipe that I ate that summer, because that was 35 years ago. It's changed a lot the way I cook it since then. So now I'm going to put in some red onion. Get that in there. Turn the heat down a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to saute that just until it starts to brown. But at the same time, I'm going to put in chopped hot green chili. Get that in there. And in the mortar and pestle, just kind of grind those up a little bit. Doesn't have to be a fine powder. The onions are looking pretty good. Just getting a little bit of browning around the edge. The farther you take them, the more flavor you develop. The farther you take them, the more risky it is that you're going to burn them, which brings a bitter flavor that you don't want. I get impatient. And I reach a point where I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so into that, we're going to put our spicing. This is an Indian chili powder, turmeric, salt, all of the spices from our mortar and pestle. And the last ingredient is, this is chili powder. Okay, so that last one, the curry powder, store-bought curry powder is fantastic. If you find a brand that you really like, make your own. If you can't find a brand that you really like, you could also use garam masala, shares a lot of the same flavors. You could use ras al hanout, shares a lot of the same flavors. Maybe takes it in a little bit of a different direction, but would still be good nonetheless. So many options with that flavoring. Next in, a couple of chopped tomatoes. Okay, so I'm just going to stir that around and cook it until the tomatoes break down. Okay, home stretch. Red lentils. These red lentils, I have rinsed them several times and then drained them. So I don't always rinse them. Today I did. Just until the water is clear. You just keep changing the water until the water runs clear, and that's all you need. So stir them in. Now comes to the liquid portion. You need about 2 cups of liquid. Most recipes are going to tell you 1-to-1 coconut milk to either vegetable stock or water. This is vegan or vegetarian. If you're not vegan or vegetarian, you could use chicken stock. Totally fine. Bring a slightly different flavor again. I'm not a huge fan of coconut milk. I think in this preparation, I'm able to take it because there's so many other flavors and it's just kind of a background player. Most recipes are going to show you 1-to-1. 1 cup, 1 cup. I'm doing 1.5 cups of vegetable stock and 1/2 cup of the coconut milk. And as you can see, the coconut milk is really, really thick. I would have thought that was coconut cream, but it says coconut milk. Oh, there's a little bit of liquid down at the bottom. Okay. I gave this can a really hard shake, but it did not mix together. So there's the liquid from the bottom of the can, and here's the coconutty goodness from the top. So we're just going to stir all of that together and bring this to a simmer. Now I've got this at a simmer, and I'm going to turn the heat down to kind of a medium-low. I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'm going to come back and stir it every 10 or 15 minutes and check on it.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, Jules.
Hey, friends. That smells really good.
Ooh, a little red lentil curry. And a little basmati rice.
A little rice. There you go. Spilling spoons everywhere.
Basmati rice. I rinsed it a few times. I let it soak for about 15 minutes. I put it in our little Betty Crocker rice cooker. 1 cup of dry rice. Just under 3/4 cup of water. Because I washed and soaked it, you don't need to use as much water when you cook it.
That's pretty good, Glenn. It's very good. I like it. I'm a sucker for some very simple lentil curry.
Yeah. Now, you could, I only put in 1 tiny little hot green chili chopped up. You could put in 2 or 3. Ramp up the heat if you really wanted to ramp up the heat.
I'm liking this. I'm liking this a lot.
Play around with the curry powder. Use garam masala, like I said, or ras al hanout, like I said. Those 3 would work equally well in this. A little bit different, but equally well. I used an Indian chili powder. You could use paprika. A little bit of cayenne if you wanted to.
I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to eat.
It's a really flexible dish. I think is what I want to get down to. Curries, tomatoes, onions, build that flavor, and then spice it. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.